Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't for the faint-hearted. This isn't just a speech, this isn't just words strung together to make you feel warm and safe. No, this is the fire that ignites your rebellion. This is the moment you stop surviving and start living. The moment you stop looking for permission and start demanding respect. It's raw, it's uncomfortable, and it's exactly what you've been waiting for. You've been carrying a weight on your shoulders that doesn't belong to you, haven't you? The weight of their expectations, their judgments, their disbelief. They whispered behind your back, and you felt it. They laughed when you stumbled and you heard it. They wrote you off before you even had the chance to begin, and you believed it. Why? Why did you let them hold the pen when the story was yours to write? This isn't about proving them wrong. Don't make that mistake. Proving them wrong is too small, too insignificant for someone like you. This is about something far greater. It's about making them question everything they thought they knew. But Ford didn't see through his moment, not anything on him. Because when the real moment would have gone down, their beliefs, their choices, their lives, it's about shaking the foundation of their entire existence. Because your success isn't just about you. It's a mirror that forces them to confront their failures. And trust me, they're terrified of that reflection. So I ask you, are you ready? Not for the applause, not for the recognition, but for the war that comes before the victory. Because make no mistake, this is war. A war against every lie they've ever told you, against every doubt that's ever poisoned your mind, against the fear that has kept you caged for far too long. Can you feel it? The tension in the air? That's not fear. It's possibility. The possibility of what happens when you stop playing by their rules. The possibility of what happens when you stop waiting for them to give you a seat at the table and instead build your own. What would that look like? What would it feel like to stop shrinking and start expanding? To stop apologizing and start commanding? But let's be honest, it won't be easy. The moment you rise, they'll try to pull you back down. Why? Because your success exposes their mediocrity. Your ambition highlights their complacency. Your courage makes their cowardice impossible to ignore. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, too much. But tell me, what's the alternative? To stay small? To stay silent? To let them win? No, not today. Not ever again. You didn't come this far just to stop now. You didn't endure the pain, the rejection, the endless nights of self-doubt just to let them keep you in a box. You are not their puppet, and this is not their show. This is your stage, your spotlight, your moment, and it's time you own it. So, here's the truth they don't want you to hear. They don't fear your failure. They fear your success. Because the moment you succeed, the moment you break free, everything they ever believed about the world will crumble. The excuses they've clung to, the lies they've told themselves, the comfort they've found in your struggle, it all falls apart. And that's what they're afraid of, not you, what you represent, the possibility of a life without limits. Now look at yourself, really look. Strip away the doubt, the fear, the stories they've planted in your mind. What do you see? A failure? A mistake? No, that's their reflection, not yours. What I see is someone who's been underestimated for too long. Someone who's been waiting for permission to shine, when all along, you were the light. This is your wake-up call. It's not coming tomorrow. It's not waiting for you to feel ready. It's here, now, demanding your attention. Demanding that you stop hesitating and start moving. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you deserve is a decision. A decision to rise, to fight, to claim what's yours. So I'll ask you again, are you ready? Ready to leave behind the chains of their expectations? Ready to step into a version of yourself so powerful that it makes them question their entire existence? Ready to stop surviving and start thriving? Because if you are, the journey begins now. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. They thought they could silence you. They thought they could bury you in doubt and fear, but what they didn't realize is that you're not just a seed. They're about to watch you bloom into something they can't contain, can't control, and can't ignore. This isn't just another story. It's your story, and it's time you take the pen. Write something so bold, so extraordinary, that they'll never recover. Not because you're spiteful, but because you're unstoppable. Are you ready to make them question their existence? Then let's begin. You've been living with an ache so deep it feels like part of your DNA. It's the kind of pain that doesn't show up in scars or bruises, but in the way your shoulders slump, in the way your eyes avoid mirrors. You've been drowning in an ocean of doubt, treading water for so long you've forgotten what solid ground feels like. You've reached out for a lifeline, only to feel the cold emptiness of nothingness in return. And stop. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe that the emptiness was all you deserved. They saw you struggling, didn't they? They saw the fire in you dimming, the spark flickering, and instead of helping, they added fuel to the fire, fuel to burn you out, not lift you up. They laughed at your dreams, whispered behind your back, and smirked at your failures. Every stumble you took was another reason for them to feel superior, another story they told themselves about why you'd never make it. You could hear them even when they thought you couldn't. The laughter, the judgment, the dismissive scoffs. It echoed in your head long after their voices faded. And then there's the worst villain of all, the one you can't escape. The one you wake up with, fall asleep with, and carry with you everywhere you go. It's not just the people who doubted you. It's the voice inside that echoes their lies. That whisper in the back of your mind. The one that asks, what if they're right? It's insidious, isn't it? It doesn't shout, it whispers. Soft enough to sound like the truth. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. Why even try? You've been fighting battles they'll never see. The sleepless nights where your mind wouldn't stop replaying every failure. The moments you stood on the edge of hope, wondering if it was worth the risk to leap. The times you poured everything you had into something only to watch it crumble, leaving you empty-handed and hollow-hearted. And while they moved on with their lives, you stayed behind, trying to piece together the fragments of who you used to be. They told you to stay realistic. They said, it's for your own good. But was it? Was it really for your good, or was it for their comfort? Because the truth is, your dreams made them on. Your ambition reminded them of everything they'd given up on. And rather than confront their own mediocrity, they tried to drag you down to their level. It was never about you failing. It was about them staying safe. They were terrified of what your success might reveal about their own choices. But let's be honest, you're tired, aren't you? Tired of carrying the weight of their doubts and your own. Tired of being the one who always gets back up, only to be knocked down again. Tired of fighting battles that feel like they never end. Some days you wonder if it's worth it. If all this pain, all this struggle, is leading anywhere at all. Because right now it just feels like a cycle. A cruel, unrelenting cycle that keeps you trapped in the same place, no matter how hard you try to escape. You've been underestimated for so long that even you started to believe the narrative. You've been told to wait your turn, as if success was a line you had to stand in. You've been told to stay in your lane, as if your life was meant to be confined to the narrow path they chose for you. You've been told to be patient, as if patience alone could break the chains holding you back. But deep down, you know the truth, don't you? You know that waiting, staying in your lane, and being patient isn't going to change a damn thing. What they don't realize, what even you might not fully realize yet, is that this struggle you're in, it's not a sign of weakness. It's not proof that you're failing. It's the crucible, the fire that burns away everything you're not, leaving only the pure, unbreakable core of who you are. They don't see that, though. They see the cracks and call them flaws. But you have the power to see them as proof that you've survived, that you've endured. But let's not sugarcoat it. The struggle is real. The pain is real. The doubt, the fear, the exhaustion, it's all real. And pretending it's not doesn't make it go away. What matters is what you do with it. What matters is whether you let it define you or whether you decide to use it as fuel. Because here's the thing, you have scars, but scars are just proof that you've healed. You've fallen, but every fall has taught you how to get back up. You've been underestimated, but underestimation is a gift. It's the element of surprise when you rise. So let's call the villain what it is. It's not just them, the ones who doubted you. It's the fear they planted in your mind. It's the lie they told you, that you weren't enough. It's the voice inside you that keeps replaying their words like a broken record. That's the real enemy. And the first step to defeating it is seeing it for what it is. A lie. A lie that's kept you small for far too long. You've been through the storm and you're still standing. They tried to break you and they failed. Every tear, every scar, every sleepless night, it's all proof that you've got something they'll never understand. Resilience. And while they were busy doubting you, you were building something they'll never be able to destroy. Yourself. Let's strip it all down right here, right now. No masks, no pretense, no sugarcoating. Let's talk about the darkest parts of your journey. The places you don't even want to look at. The moments when the weight feels unbearable. The nights when the silence screams louder than any crowd ever could. And the mornings when getting out of bed feels like the hardest battle you've ever fought. You know these moments, don't you? The ones where it feels like you're screaming underwater, your voice swallowed whole by the waves of doubt and despair. Tell Robin, it's not just the outside voices anymore. It's your own. It's that relentless whisper. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is all you'll ever be. Maybe this is all you'll ever have. And every time you try to rise, it feels like the world has its foot pressed firmly on your chest, daring you to try harder, mocking every effort you make. What happens if you stay here? Let's not dance around it. What happens if you let them win? If you let their words become your truth? If you let their limitations define your potential? Let me tell you what happens. You fade, slowly, painfully, and completely. You fade into nothingness, just another ghost in their gallery of broken dreams. Another cautionary tale they tell themselves to justify their own mediocrity. See, they'll say, they couldn't do it either. But it's not just you who pays the price, is it? No. Your failure becomes a chain reaction. Every time you let doubt win, every time you let fear silence you, you're not just betraying yourself, you're betraying everyone who's watching you, everyone who needs you to succeed. The people who look to you as proof that it's possible, the ones who don't even know they're holding their breath, waiting for someone like you to show them the way. And despite you're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for every soul who's ever believed the lie that they're not enough. But the truth is, you've been stuck in this cycle for so long that it's hard to see a way out, isn't it? You've been so busy proving them wrong that you forgot to prove yourself right. Every step you take feels like it's in someone else's shadow. Every victory feels hollow, tainted by the voices in your head asking, but is it enough? Are you enough? And the harder you fight, the deeper it feels like you're sinking, like quicksand pulling you down no matter how desperately you claw your way out. Let's be real. How long can you keep this up? How long can you keep living for the approval of people who don't even see you? How long can you keep trying to fill the void with accolades, with applause, with achievements that only feel good for a moment before the emptiness creeps back in? It's exhausting, isn't it? And no one seems to notice. Or maybe they do and they just don't care. Because as long as you stay stuck, as long as you stay small, you're easier to ignore. But here's the hardest part to face. Some of this isn't even their fault anymore. Some of this is you. You've taken their doubts and made them your mantra. You've let their rejection become your religion. You've carried their fears as if they were your own, and now they've taken root so deeply that you can't tell where their voices end and yours begin. And unmittable. And if you don't confront this, if you don't tear these weeds out at the root, they'll suffocate everything you could have been. This is what's at stake. Your dreams, your future, your life. If you let the fear win, if you let the doubt take over, you'll wake up one day and realize that you've become a shadow of yourself, a hollow version of the person you were meant to be. And the worst part, you'll know you let it happen. You'll know that you had a choice and you chose to stay in the cage because the door was open, but stepping through it felt too terrifying. But let's be clear about something. This isn't just about avoiding pain. This isn't just about survival. This is about legacy. Because whether you realize it or not, people are watching you. They're looking at you and wondering, if they can do it, maybe I can too. You might not feel it, but your struggle, your fight, it matters. Not just for you, but for everyone who's ever been told they weren't enough. Everyone who's ever been underestimated, undervalued, overlooked. So, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Are you going to let this be the end of your story? Are you going to let the fear, the doubt, the pain write the final chapter? Or are you going to fight? Because make no mistake, this is a fight. It's messy, it's brutal, and it doesn't guarantee an easy victory. But what's the alternative? To stay here, to let them win, to let this be your legacy, a life half-lived, a potential never realized? No, that's not who you are. That's not why you're here. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to end up here, stuck in a loop of despair. You didn't come this far just to stay in the shadows. But acknowledging the pain, sitting with it, feeling it, that's the only way through. You have to face it, not run from it. You have to see the cage for what it is. Not a prison, but a test. A challenge to see if you're ready to break free. So here you are, at the crossroads. On one side is the path of least resistance, the one where you stay stuck, stay small, stay silent. On the other is the path of struggle, the one that demands everything you've got and more. The one that requires you to confront your deepest fears, to challenge every lie you've ever believed, to fight with every ounce of strength you have. And here's the truth. The hardest road is the only one worth taking, because when you come out on the other side, and you will come out on the other side, you won't just be free, you'll be unrecognizable. To them, to yourself, to the world, and that's the point. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were right all along. You were always enough. You just had to see it for yourself. Do you feel it? The spark, faint but undeniable, stirring inside you. That's the part of you they couldn't touch, the part of you that survived everything they threw your way. It's been there all along, quietly waiting for you to notice, to call it forward, to let it take its rightful place in your life. That spark is your strength, and today, we're going to fan it into an inferno. Think about this. What if every setback you faced wasn't a punishment, but a preparation? What if every moment of doubt, every rejection, every heartache was sharpening you, forging you into something they couldn't destroy? Steel isn't made in comfort, it's made in fire. Diamonds don't form in soft places, they're carved under pressure. And you've been walking through a crucible, and though it's burned, though it's hurt, it's made you stronger than you've ever realized. They thought the fire would consume you, but they got it wrong. You're not the ashes, they are. And from the inferno, you're rising as something unrecognizable to them, unstoppable. They wanted to define you by your scars, but those scars, they're your armor now. Every one of them tells a story of survival, of resilience, of a battle you didn't just fight, you won. And every time they see you, they'll see those scars, and they'll know. You're not what they tried to make you. You're what they couldn't destroy. But let's not stop there. Let's take this deeper. I want you to look in the mirror. Really look. Strip away the expectations, the lies, the weight of their opinions. What do you see? At first, you might see someone who's tired, someone who's been through hell and back. But look closer. Beneath the weariness, there's something else. There's fire in your eyes, strength in your stance, a quiet, unshakable resolve. It's not just a person in the mirror. That's a revolution waiting to happen. You've been playing small for too long, dimming your light to make others comfortable. But here's the truth. The world doesn't need you to shrink. It needs you to expand, to stand tall, to take up space, to shine so brightly that no one can ignore you. Your light isn't a threat, it's a beacon, and the people who fear it, they're the ones who benefit from your silence, your invisibility. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to let the world see exactly who you are. Here's what you need to know. The strength you're searching for, it's already inside you. It's been there all along, buried beneath the doubt, the fear, the lies, and now it's time to reclaim it, to let it rise to the surface, to take back everything they tried to take from you. Your power, your voice, your life. But let's not pretend this is easy. Resilience isn't built overnight. It's a choice you make every single day. A choice to get back up when you fall, to keep going when everything in you wants to quit, to believe in yourself even when no one else does. Resilience is gritty, raw, unpolished. It's not glamorous, but it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever create because it's yours. And here's the secret they don't want you to know. The moment you decide to own your power, everything changes. The moment you stop looking for validation outside of yourself, you become unstoppable. The moment you realize that you don't need their approval, their permission, their acceptance, you become free. Imagine this, a version of you that's unapologetically bold. A version of you that walks into a room and commands attention, not because you're trying, but because you've embraced exactly who you are. A version of you that doesn't just survive, but thrives, shattering every limit they ever placed on you. That version of you isn't a dream, it's real. It's waiting, and the only thing standing in the way is the belief that you're not ready. But you are ready. You've been ready. You've faced the fire, and you've come out the other side. You've carried burdens that would have crushed lesser people. You've fought battles that no one saw, and you've won, even when it didn't feel like it. And now, it's time to stop surviving and start living. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture this, your future. Not the one they imagined for you, but the one you're about to create. Picture yourself standing tall, unshaken, unafraid. Picture the life you've always wanted, the one you've been too scared to believe in. And now hear this. It's possible. Not someday, not for someone else, for you. Your life doesn't have to be defined by what's happened to you. It can be defined by what you do next, by the choices you make, the risks you take, the dreams you refuse to let go of. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the hero of your story. And heroes, they rise, they fight, they overcome. So I'll leave you with this. The fire inside you is stronger than any storm outside of you. The strength you're searching for is already yours. And the life you want, it's waiting. But it won't wait forever. It's time to rise. It's time to fight. It's time to take your place as the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. They thought they could bury you, but they forgot one thing. You're a seed. And seeds don't stay buried. They grow. And now it's time for you to bloom. Do you feel it? That shift in the air? That tremble beneath your feet? That's not the ground breaking beneath you, it's the chains they placed on you finally snapping. And as they fall away, you see the truth, clear and undeniable. The truth they've spent so much time hiding from you, and even more time hiding from themselves. It was never about you failing. It was about you succeeding. Their fear wasn't your weakness, it was your strength, your success, your brilliance, your resilience. It's the mirror they can't bear to look into, because when you rise, you force them to confront everything they've run from. Their mediocrity, their excuses, their fear. Your triumph makes their comfort uncomfortable. Your light exposes their shadows. That's what they've been afraid of all along. Not you falling, not you breaking, but you rising so high, so far beyond their reach that they can't hide anymore. And now you understand. Now you see it for what it is. Every word of doubt, every smirk, every attempt to hold you down, it wasn't about you at all. It was about them, about their need to keep you small so they could stay comfortable, about their inability to face the possibility that someone like you, someone they dismissed, underestimated, wrote off, could become something so extraordinary it leaves them questioning everything they've ever believed about themselves. But here's the real twist. They didn't break you. No, they broke the chains holding you back. With every insult, with every rejection, they chipped away at the barriers until there was nothing left to contain you. They thought they were burying you, but all they were doing was planting a seed. And now you're blooming into something they can't stop, can't control, can't silence. So the question isn't whether you'll rise. The question is how high. How far will you go now that you see the truth? Now that you've taken back the power they tried to strip from you? Now that you've realized the only thing holding you back was the belief that you needed them to approve of your journey. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You don't even need their acknowledgement. What you need is already inside of you. The fire, the strength, the courage to step into the life you've always been capable of living. The life they said you couldn't have. The life they were too afraid to chase for themselves. But here's where it gets real. This isn't about proving them wrong anymore. That's too small for you. That's too easy. This is about proving yourself right. About taking every dream you've ever dared to dream and turning it into reality. About becoming the version of yourself you've always known you could be. The one they tried so hard to convince you didn't exist. So let me ask you, are you ready? Are you ready to leave them in the shadow of your light? To stop playing small, stop apologizing for your ambition, and start living as boldly, as loudly, as unapologetically as you were meant to? Are you ready to stop surviving and start thriving? Because here's the thing, they're gonna talk either way. Whether you rise or stay stuck, they're gonna have opinions. So why not give them something to talk about? Why not give them something they'll never forget? Why not let your success be so blinding, so undeniable, that it becomes the story they tell themselves when they're lying awake at night, wondering how they got it so wrong about you? Picture this, you standing on a stage of your own making, built not by their approval but by your own determination. You walking into a room, not hoping to be noticed, but knowing you'll be impossible to ignore. You thriving, shining, soaring so high that they can't even reach the shadow of your light. That's what's waiting for you. That's what's possible. And the only thing standing between you and that vision is a choice. So I'll ask you again, what are you going to do? Are you going to let the fear win? Are you going to let their voices drown out your own? Are you going to stay stuck in the cycle of doubt and hesitation? Or are you going to break free? Are you going to rise? This is your moment, the turning point, the place where the story shifts from everything they said about you to everything you've always known. This is where you take the pen and write the next chapter. And it starts with one decision, to leave behind the doubt, the fear, the need for their approval, and to step fully into your power. Because here's the truth, you don't just have power, you are power. You are the storm they never saw coming. You are the revolution they never thought possible. And now that you see it, now that you know it, there's no going back. There's only forward. There's only up. So rise. Rise so high that they have no choice but to look up and question everything they thought they knew. Rise so boldly that your light becomes the lighthouse for everyone else still trapped in the storm. Rise, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Because you were never meant to stay in the shadows, you were always meant to shine. The question isn't whether you'll rise. The question isn't even how high. The real question is this, are you ready to be the person you were born to be? Because if you are, then nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you now. This is it. The moment where words stop being enough and action becomes the only path forward. Everything we've spoken about, your pain, your resilience, your awakening, has led to this point. Now, the question isn't whether you can change your story. The question is whether you will. Because no one else can do it for you. No one else can live this life, fight this fight, or claim this victory. It's yours, and yours alone. You've spent so much time rewriting their story about you, proving them wrong, silencing their doubts, rising above their expectations. But now, it's time to shift your focus, because their story doesn't matter anymore. What matters is yours, the one you'll write for yourself, the one you'll look back on and say, that's where everything changed. That's when I stopped letting the world define me and started defining myself. So here's the challenge. Rewrite your story. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. You've been waiting for a sign, for permission, for the perfect moment. But the truth is, you've always had everything you needed to begin. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to start. So start. Today, right now. Take the first step and let that step lead to the next. And the next, until you've created something so powerful, so undeniable, that even you won't recognize the person you were before. Here's how you do it. Step by step. Step 1. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Your dreams aren't too big, your goals aren't too bold. You are not too much. The world has enough people playing small, enough voices silenced by fear and doubt. Don't be one of them. Own your ambition, speak it out loud, write it down, chase it with everything you have. And if they call you selfish, if they say you're reaching too high, let them. That's not your burden to carry. Your ambition is your gift. Stop hiding it. Step 2. Wear your scars like badges. Every scar you have, every wound you've endured is a testament to your survival. They're not signs of weakness, they're proof of your strength. Don't hide them, don't be ashamed of them, let them show. Let them remind you of everything you've overcome and everything you're capable of overcoming again. Your scars are part of your story, but they're not the end of it, they're the beginning. Step 3, let your success speak so loudly that they can't ignore it. You don't need to argue with them. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Let your actions do the talking. Build something so extraordinary, so unshakable that their opinions become irrelevant. Focus on your growth, your goals, your journey, and let the noise around you fade into the background. Because at the end of the day, the best response to doubt is success. And now, here's the most important step. Don't stop. Once you start, once you take that first step, don't look back. Don't let fear, doubt, or failure hold you down. Keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you stumble. Because every step you take is a step closer to the life you deserve. Every stumble is a lesson, every failure is a stepping stone, and every victory, no matter how small, is a reminder of how far you've come. This journey won't be easy, it won't happen overnight. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the old doubts creep back in, when the world feels too heavy to carry. But on those days, remember this. You've already survived your worst days. You've already overcome more than most people can imagine, and you didn't come this far just to stop now. They'll question their existence when they see you thrive. They'll replay every word they said to you, every doubt they cast, and wonder how they got it so wrong. But that's not your concern. Your concern is becoming everything they said you couldn't be, and more. Your concern is building a life so extraordinary, so breathtakingly bold, that it inspires others to do the same. Because that's the real victory. Not just rising above their doubts, but lifting others with you. So here's my final challenge to you. Stand up. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Stand up and claim the life that's waiting for you. Stop hesitating, stop doubting, stop apologizing. This is your time. This is your story. And no one, not them, not the world, not even your own fear, can take it from you. Look in the mirror one last time. That person staring back at you? That's not just a person. That's power, that's potential, that's greatness waiting to be unleashed. And now it's up to you to decide what happens next. Will you rise? Will you fight? Will you take the step that changes everything? The pen is in your hands, the page is blank. Write something so extraordinary, so unforgettable that the world will never be the same. Because this isn't just about you. This is about everyone who's ever doubted themselves, everyone who's ever been told they weren't enough, everyone who needs to see someone like you rise so they can believe it's possible for themselves. The question isn't whether you'll rise. You already know the answer to that. The real question is this: how far will you go? Here we are, the final chapter, the last page of this story, or at least that's what it might feel like. But let's be clear, this isn't the end. It's not even close. This moment, this decision, this transformation, it's the beginning, the prologue to your legacy. Because what lies ahead is greater than anything you've left behind. Your past isn't a prison, it's the foundation. And your future, it's a masterpiece waiting for you to create it. Take a breath. Look back for a moment. Not with regret, but with gratitude. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every obstacle, it's all led you here, to this place of power, this moment of clarity, to this realization that you've been carrying the strength you needed all along. Before the public eye, before the public evidence. How many times have you lied? They couldn't take it from you. Even when the world felt like it was falling apart, even when the voices of doubt were deafening, you held on. Maybe by a thread at times, but you held on. And that's why you're here now, ready to rise. Your journey hasn't just been about surviving, it's been about becoming. Becoming someone who refuses to be defined by the opinions of others. Becoming someone who sees their scars not as marks of defeat, but as emblems of resilience. Becoming someone who knows their worth, not because it was handed to them, but because they claimed it for themselves. And here's the truth you've been waiting to hear. The truth they never wanted you to know. Your success isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were right all along. That the dreams you carried weren't foolish. That the fire inside you wasn't a flicker. It was a blaze waiting to be unleashed. That the version of yourself you dared to believe in, even when no one else did, was real. Now, as you stand here, at the edge of what comes next, there's something I want you to remember. Your journey isn't just about you. It's about everyone who's watching, everyone who's waiting for permission to chase their own dreams, to fight their own battles. By rising, you're giving them hope. By thriving, you're lighting the way. Your story is more than personal. It's universal, and its impact will ripple out far beyond what you can see. This is your time to let go of the past, to embrace the future, and to step fully into the life you've been building, brick by brick, battle by battle. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your legacy. A legacy of strength, of courage, of undeniable power. A legacy that says, I was here, and I didn't just survive, I thrived. I didn't just rise, I soared. So as you move forward, carry this with you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your success. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. The only person you need to prove anything to is yourself. And even that, you've already done it. By choosing to rise, by choosing to fight, you've shown yourself who you truly are, unstoppable. Remember this, always. You are the writer of your story, the architect of your dreams, the author of your legacy, and what you've built so far is just the beginning. There are no limits to what you can create, no boundaries to what you can achieve. The question isn't whether you'll succeed, the question is how far you'll go, how high you'll rise, how brightly you'll shine. The world tried to break you, but they didn't realize they were building you. They didn't see that every setback was a step forward. Every failure was a lesson. Every scar was a badge of honor. And now, as they look at you, they won't see the person they tried to bury. They'll see someone they can't touch, someone they can't define, someone they'll never forget. So take this moment, breathe it in, let it sink deep into your soul. This is your story, your journey, your life, and it's just beginning. You've written the prologue. Now go write the rest. Make it bold, make it brilliant, make it yours. The pen is still in your hands, the page is still blank, and the world is waiting. Now go, show them who you are, show yourself who you've always been, and let the legacy begin.